What's up guys? Today I bring you 10 tips on how to achieve a better battery life on the new ASUS ROG Ally. Now this is one of the best gaming handhelds that you can buy right now for under £800, giving you a solid performance, a beautiful 120Hz display, amazing software with plenty of customization options, along with LED lights, dual vibration, Dolby ATMOS sound, and the list goes on. But with all those power hungry features, the battery was expected to take a hit. Realistically, the battery will last you around 1.5 hours playing AAA games like GTA 5, FIFA and Call of Duty. But the battery can be vastly improved. You can double or even triple that battery life by following these easy steps. So without any further ado, let's begin with my top 10 tips on how to achieve a better battery life on the ROG Ally. So let's start with tip number 1, and it's quite an obvious one. Reduce the brightness as low as you can handle. So to do that, you just press the command center button, which is this button over here, and you can see the toggle for brightness at the top. And all you're doing is sliding that down to as low as possible. Now, I actually use it at around 30%. If I turn off my studio lights and just have my normal lights on, you can see that that is still a very nice bright display. I could even take that down lower to about 19%, and as you can see, the screen is still completely visible, and that will definitely help you achieve a better battery life. Now the next tip is switch off the RGB lights. So press the command center button, and right at the bottom it says LED brightness 100%. You can have it to 33%, 66%, 100%, or completely switch them off. They are only a cosmetic feature. If you don't need them, just switch them off. It's only going to give you a better battery life. Now for this video, of course, I'm going to put that brightness right back up, otherwise my camera is not going to be able to see the screen. Now tip number 3, turn on aeroplane mode as often as possible. This will stop the ROG Ally from constantly maintaining and searching for stable Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections, and saving you battery in the long run. Now some games will require Wi-Fi, so in those scenarios you can't turn on aeroplane mode. But if you're playing offline games, go ahead and hit the command center button, and right at the bottom there you can see aeroplane mode. Tap it to switch it on, and the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi will be switched off. Now even while you're in aeroplane mode, you can switch that Wi-Fi back on if you wanted, and it will turn off the location services and Bluetooth. So that is aeroplane mode, definitely going to save you some juice. Tip number 4, close unwanted apps. You can see I've got quite a few apps open at the bottom, but there could be some unknown background processes open which might be hogging system resources. Now what we're going to do is open up Task Manager. So on the back of the Ally you can see an M.2 button. If you press it, that will bring up the Task Manager. And from here you can see what apps are open. You can just tap on them and hit End Task, and that will close the app immediately. And if there are any other apps that are open or background processes that should not be there, you can switch them off from here. So that's Task Manager. So yeah, make it a habit to close unwanted apps. Sometimes some malicious apps, some adware, malware can get into the system and hog resources in the background, slowing your system right down. You can keep an eye on things by Task Manager, hit the M2 button, Task Manager immediately opens, and you can see all the background processes that are running. You can also see how much system memory and process that app is using. So that will tell you what is eating up resources, and you can immediately switch it off. So now we're on to tip number 5, change the resolution. So you can drop the resolution down to 720p. That will certainly improve the battery life. To do that, you just tap on the command center button, and over here towards the bottom you can see Full HD 1080p resolution. If you tap that widget, it will immediately switch to 720p. And if you want to make sure the resolution has changed, long press on the desktop, tap on display settings, and you can see there 720p resolution. I will test something now. I will switch to 1080p, and you can see that changed in real time as well. Display settings 1080p. So this toggle is working absolutely fine. I heard rumors that the toggle wasn't working correctly, but I am on the latest firmware, latest software, everything updated, and you can see it's working absolutely fine. So drop the resolution down from 1080p to 720p, and you will definitely get a better battery life. Tip number 6, lower the frame rate to 30 FPS. So to do that, you press Command Center. Okay, towards the top, you've got FPS limiter. Tap on it. So you can actually limit the FPS to 15 frames per second, 30 frames, 45 frames, or 60 frames. So I like to keep that on 30 frames, which is more than reasonable to play games at 720p at 30 frames. The games will still play quite well and it will save you a lot of battery life. Now, next tip, number 7, lower the refresh rate. So now that we have lowered quite a few things, 720p, 30 frames per second limit, there is no need to keep that on 120 Hz. So tap Command Center and tap the 120 Hz. You saw the screen flashed momentarily. We are now in 60 Hz. Tip number 8, change the operating mode. Let me show you what I mean. Tap on the Command Center button. Right at the top, you can see it says operating mode, and you've got 3 options: 10 watt silent mode, 15 watt performance mode, or 25 watt turbo mode. So when you're playing a AAA game, one of the latest graphically intense game, you're going to have to set that on 25 watts. But if you're playing something a bit more basic, you will get away with 10 watts. 10 watt TDP means that the battery is going to last you a very long time. 15 watts is actually a decent balance between battery and performance. So you could leave it on 15 watts if you wanted that oomph in your game, if you wanted that power, but at the same time, you would get a decent enough battery life. Tip number 9. This is a good one. Turn on AMD FSR. It stands for Fidelity FX Super Resolution. So it basically upscales the graphics in a way to improve battery life. Now to activate AMD FSR, hit the Command Center button and you'll see it just there. I've got it on already. So that will be off by default. You just tap it to switch it on. So AMD FSR will slightly upscale, make things look nicer without affecting the battery life. So that is a no-brainer. Turn that on straight away. Now, a not so obvious tip, tip number 10, lower the vibration intensity. To do this, so you tap the Armor Crate button here. It will bring up the game library, tap on Settings, then tap on Configuration, tap on Gamepad Mode, and right at the bottom you can see it says Vibration. Now you can set the vibration intensity. I'm personally happy with 6% and 5%, but you can bump that up. And the best part about this slider is you can feel what the vibration feels like as you put the slider up and down. So you can actually feel the intensity. I can deal with 5%, that's fine. I don't want too much vibration going on. If you don't like the vibration at all, you can switch it right off. And again, that will save you a lot of battery life. So those are my 10 tips on how you can save battery life and still enjoy your games on the ASUS ROG Ally. It will take the battery life from 1.5 hours to at least 4 hours if you follow all my steps. This does also depend on what you're playing. Now let's go ahead and play some games. I want to show you how the game's played based on the recommendations I've just given you. So let's just start off with GTA 5. Graphics settings, you can see resolution 720p, 60 Hz refresh rate, and I have everything else set to normal graphics. So the brightness has been turned right down. This is exactly how I play this game. We are achieving just over 30 frames per second and the game is super smooth and it looks pretty good too. You can achieve up to 4 hours of GTA based on these settings. So GTA is quite an old game. Let's try something a bit more recent. WWE 2K23. This is a graphically intensive game. You need a lot more power to run this game, but I'm just going to show you what happens if we leave it on 10 watt. Quickly go to the graphics settings. You can see texture quality is standard, 720p resolution, VSync is off, model quality standard, everything else is on low. So these are the default settings. Let's go ahead and see how this plays. Okay, so we're actually achieving 52 frames per second right now, and the game is playing okay. So we need to check a few things out. We are in silent 10 watt mode. Frames have been limited to 30 frames per second, but we're still achieving 50. You can see that the game is playing actually quite well. So the frame rate is still being pushed way past 30 frames per second. I don't think it's full speed. I think the game is a little bit slower than it should be. You're going to have to turn it up a notch. So if we go at the top and just tap on silent mode here, changing it to performance mode, which is 15 watts, close the center, and yes, straight away I feel the difference. You can see the APU voltage has gone up. Yeah, much faster. That actually feels like full speed. So to play this game, WWE 2K23, which is a more recent game, it's quite graphically intense. So based on my settings, you can still achieve a pretty decent battery life if you play like this. Okay, now here is a very popular but addictive game that does not even work on the Steam Deck due to incompatibilities. Well, I'm happy to report it does work on the ROG Ally, but this game is quite graphically intense. I have everything set on the lowest. You can see resolution is 720p, full screen. We have locked it to 30 FPS. Dynamic resolution scale is off. Strand-based hair quality, etc. is off, and rendering quality we have set to low. So 20 frames per second we're playing this game at. This is on the lowest TDP, 10 watt TDP. You can see the game is playable, but it's not by any means full speed, considerably slow. Sound is a bit choppy as well. So that is what happens when you play FIFA 23 at 10 watts. Okay, performance mode. Immediately the audio just corrected itself. So clear audio. Speed has gone right up in performance mode. I'm achieving 30 frames per second. That's what we're supposed to be locked at. Open goal, what the hell? Yes. The cutscenes are much better now. 18 frames per second, but it's much better than before. So if you want to play FIFA 23, you're going to have to play it in performance mode at least. So far, all the games I've tested, I've not had to even touch turbo mode. You can play your games at 720p, at 30 frames per second, and they're playing pretty good. So you can certainly improve your battery by playing a bit conservatively, going through the tips that I just recommended you guys. But if you're at home and you've got access to power, there is nothing stopping you from turning this into the beast that it is. 30 watt turbo mode on, frame limit off. We go down, 1080p resolution and 120 Hz refresh. So we've basically maxed everything out. And what the hell, we've turned the LEDs on as well, just for fun. So FIFA 23 graphics set to 1080p, no limit on frame rate. I got dynamic resolution scale off, but strand-based hair is on and rendering quality ultra. So let's see how this plays, all maxed out. 84 frames per second, guys, with everything maxed out, and I scored the first goal on ultra settings. Cutscenes 21 frames per second, gone down to about 12. Still looks really good. So with the power plugged in, turbo 1080p, full resolution, you can see we're playing this game. We're playing FIFA 23 at 94 frames per second, which is quite incredible. It's overkill. It doesn't even need to be this powerful, but you've got the power. Why not? This thing can handle it, guys. That's what's amazing about the ROG Ally. So there you have it, guys. That was my video showing you how to improve the battery life of the ASUS ROG Ally. This thing is an absolute beast. Every game I tested on this, all the AAA games I've tested, works impressively. You can play FIFA 23 maxed out ultra settings, and you saw what sort of frame rates we were achieving. So once you've got all that power behind this thing, you don't actually have to use it that way, as I showed you in this video. I hope you found this one useful. If you did, please hit the like and sub button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.